Absolutely incredible, absolutely sensational. This Premier League title, Arsenal 3, Southampton 3. It is finally game over. And is it finally game over for Arsenal's title hopes? 5 points ahead of Manchester City. But Manchester City have 2 games in hand. If Arsenal go to the Etihad next week and draw, it still won't be enough. Because if Man City win their 2 games in hand, they will be above them. Arsenal have got to win at the Etihad to have any ownership on this title. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I purposely didn't watch this game tonight because I could only see an Arsenal win and I didn't want to watch it and make an event of it in case I jinxed it. And they still bloody didn't win. I'm no Arsenal fan, they must be gutted, but you've got to look at that tonight. Look, you can look at the West Ham game and say, away from home, it's difficult. You can look at the Anfield game and go, Liverpool at Anfield's difficult. But Southampton, bottom of the league, gonna get relegated, to be 3-1 down. I mean, it's great to get a point, but let's call it for what it is. Fair play to Arsenal for not losing the game. They've not lost any of their last 3 games, but they've taken 3 points from 9. That's not title-winning form when you're up against Man City. And they've got to be gutted. And you know what? I speak from experience because I've seen United in the last 2 games against Sevilla. When you lose key defenders, you start letting in silly goals. And Arsenal in the league, in the last 3, have conceded 7. 7 goals in their last 3. They dreadfully miss Saliba. And I think, as horrible it is to say, I think Arsenal have been incredible this season. But unfortunately, and it's so unfair, the lack of depth that they do not have, and not many teams do have what Man City have got, is really hurting them now. They do not have what Man City have got. If they lose Stones, they've got Laporte. If they lose Diaz, they've got Akanji. They've also got Aki. They've got the players. Arsenal don't have those players. With all due respect, Rob Holding ain't Saliba. And this is why Arsenal's season has been so incredible. Because they've stayed the fight for so long with a squad which really isn't able to do it. And unfortunately, all the know-alls all saying, well, this was always going to happen. The pressure was going to get them. And unfortunately, it looks like it is. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame because you could probably predict it logically that Arsenal haven't been in a title race before and this team is quite inexperienced. And when it comes down to these games, when you're playing teams like bloody Southampton and West Ham who just suddenly start pulling these results out the bag because their wages depend on it. They're going to get 50% reductions in their wages because of relegation into the Championship. They suddenly start playing at a level that they haven't been all season. But it's the same for everybody else. And when you're not used to it in a title race, things like this and last week happen. But it won't happen to Man City because they've got the squad and they've got the experience. And there's no injustice in it. It's just what happens. This is why people predict Arsenal probably haven't got the squad to do this. They're defying logic. In them last few weeks of the season when the pressure hits and their teams down the bottom start playing like prime Barcelona, what are they going to do? I mean, where the hell has that Southampton result come from? Not only was it not, they were unlucky not to win. I think up until about the 90th minute, they had the same amount of shots on target as Arsenal with 6. They played well. They deserved to get something from the game. Part of me wanted Arsenal to nick it at the end because I'd rather Arsenal win the league than City, but it would have been ridiculously harsh on Southampton. So, look, it's such a hard one because you're going to get all the bottlers and that. And ultimately, as I said last week, it is a bottle job when you're 2-0 up against West Ham and you end up drawing. It is a bottle job when you're home to bottom of the league and you're top of the league and you end up drawing. It is. But it's also very unfair because did anybody predict Arsenal to be in this situation? No. But it's going to be a hard one for them to swallow. And of course, Southampton are going to go down. I still think that, but they're fighting for their lives. What a performance. But for Manchester City, it's just opening up, isn't it? I mean, from a Man United point of view, Real Madrid, you are our only hope. I can't see Arsenal getting back into this title race now, simply because, and I tweeted this earlier tonight, they've hit their worst possible form at the worst possible time. That Man City game was always going to be big. And I go back to the game at the Emirates where Arsenal really were probably a little bit naive and they played well in the first half. And I just think ultimately, if Manchester City end up winning this title, it will be for the most predictable reason. They've got the bigger squad, they've got the better players, and they've got the better experience and game management in relation to players and manager. And you go back to that Emirates game, and I think and was it Nketiah missed 2 sitters, and that's what it comes down to. If those chances fall to Haaland, he scores them. They fall to Nketiah, he lets them in. He misses. And it's not a criticism of Arsenal. It's a fact of life. They are not at the level of Man City, and they don't have the experience, and they've defied logic, like I said. I mean, look at Ramsdale in the last 2 games. He's made 2 mistakes, big mistakes. And it's funny because from a United point of view, you got all this talk about De Gea, and I've seen Alisson make mistakes, I've seen Edison make mistakes, Ramsdale's made mistakes, keepers make mistakes. It's what happens, but it's just, and I want to just say, overarching all of this, beyond any personal feeling about not wanting City to win the league, I have to say, is it not just more evidence of what an amazing Premier League season this has been? Nothing is predictable. In fact, I think the only team that really is predictable is the team that will win it, because they're just so more dominant than everybody else, and that's Man City. Take Man City out of this league, and it's just ridiculous. That's top against bottom, and you get served up a 6-goal thriller like that. It's just unbelievably brilliant what this league has served up this season. And it's, ultimately, I think it will be a shame if the team that is just so far better than everyone else for reasons that we know, I think Arsenal up until a couple of weeks ago did deserve it, but ultimately you get what you deserve at the end of the season, and I think Man City are huge favourites for it now. And it'll be a hard one for Arsenal fans to swallow. I mean, I find it frustrating that game on Wednesday, really you wanted it. I mean, it might play into Man City's hands in a way. The only narrow positive I would give is that it's a very positive season for Arsenal, ultimately. They will get Champions League football, but the fact that Man City needed to win on Wednesday, and they still do need to win, but they don't need to win. They can probably draw that game and win their games in hand. It might shift the mentality of Man City a little bit. But Arsenal have got to go there and win. It's as simple as that. They've got to go there and win. Otherwise, you're hoping for somebody else. And as I said, that gap's 5 points, 2 games in hand. If you draw, you're not 6 points ahead, you're 5 points ahead, because Man City get a point as well. So if you draw, you're 5 points ahead, but they've got 2 games in hand. You'd have to win all your games and hope that they drop points. You've got to go there and win. That's what Arsenal have got to do. They've got to go there and win on Wednesday. And at the moment, it's going to take a massive, massive, massive effort from that team. But they have defied logic all season. For the good of their title race, they've got to go to the Etihad and win. Teams have done it before. We'll have to wait and see. But I can't speak. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And in a way, it's, as I said, whatever the personal feeling is, the league just keeps on gifting these amazing performances and amazing results. And let's not forget, Arsenal are 3-1 down with 5 minutes to go, and they get a 3-3 draw. So, I don't know. Pick the bones out of that. Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and please subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Thanks for watching.